of all, it's so nice to meet you in person,
Yes.
and we're here talking about this amazing new show on FLIX. Okay, brief synopsis for those who are just seeing this interview and haven't seen the other one yet.
Yes, A Thousand Tomorrows is about an angry bull rider, Cody Gunner, and a sick barrel racer, Allie Daniels, and the unlikely love that brings them together and helps them to find out who God wants them to be.
And so I'm assuming you guys were both involved in the casting of this. You had to have final approval, right?
Actually, no,
I
no,
mean,
we
yeah.
not here. We they sent us audition videos and we would give our input. But
We did a lot of clapping, I feel
we
like.
did. We were like, hey,
look
you
at
know,
that,
we just
sure.
trust the process. It's like, all right, well, God's gonna bring the right people, and He really
Yeah.
did. And Rose and Colin did an incredible job.
Yeah, in fact, watching episode 6 the other day, which was really the first time that we'd seen a rough cut, but seen it like fully. We wanted to wait and see it in
Yeah.
the big screen. Wow, blown
I know,
away.
It's so moving.
Yeah, they actually are the characters.
Okay, so when you guys do watch your work back, is it kind of intimidating a little at first, or something like, oh, I'm excited to see my work, or oh, I don't want to watch it, but I have to?
Well, for me, that's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
You know, because you see it one way when you're sitting at home on your computer, you write it, but then there's layers of life that are added as it, you know, gets delivered to an actor, and they film it, and then
Right.
it's edited, and there's music over it. So you watch it differently, and I think I was reminded when I watched it just a few days ago, just the power of collaboration and the way that God can bring so many people together to tell a story. And it moved me in a different way, and I was like, well, that just must be the Lord, because something I wrote to move me in that way, it's an incredible experience. And to sit with an audience who's crying and laughing at the things that you wrote, it's
You hear
really
all the
cool.
tissues collectively coming out of the crowd. I'm like, whoa, this is,
amazing.
it was very special.
That's like the best, I guess, response you can get. It's almost like
Yeah.
when you're seeing other people watch your work, you're like, what's their reaction? What's going
Yeah.
on? I mean, I'm glad you're crying. I'm glad you cried, but I'm also glad you're really crying.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
And so, for you, Karen, was there ever a time in your career that you were just like, Lord, I don't know if maybe things weren't going the way you thought they were going to go, or you were getting no's, or something was stopping you? For a person who's wanting to pursue and have a career like you, or any field, what advice would you encourage them to continue to just go do it, do what the Lord is calling you to do, and don't stop?
Well, I remember writing my first novel, and I had written I was a journalist in LA, and then I did 4 true crime books, and they were very successful, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I was able to be home with our kids, which was a blessing and an answer to prayer, but not the kind of story I wanted to continue to turn out. So I wrote my first novel on spec. I didn't have a contract, and that was called Where Yesterday Lives. It's still available, and I love that book. And it took me, I spent a few months writing it. I had to get some, a babysitter to come and help me with the kids at home. And then I got a year of rejections because everyone saw me as a crime writer. Nobody saw me as writing these inspirational stories. And I remember like getting on my knees and just, asking the Lord to bless it, but also being confident that this was the story He wanted me to tell, whether or not I was the only reader. Like literally, I feel like the people who have a story on their heart, they need to write it. Because even when I finally got a contract, the first 6 novels, we were broke. Like we did not, they were doing well. They would run out of them at the store, but they just didn't print enough, and it was just, we couldn't keep up with the readers. So I remember having another moment, like 6 books in, going back to waitressing, or what am I supposed to do to help my family here? And God just opened the floodgates at that point. So you write the story, or you act the part. You do the thing that God wants you to do, that you're loving and that you feel is the dream and the calling He has on your life. He'll do the rest.
I think that's 100% true. And what I've learned at any point in life is, especially if you have a relationship with God, you'll know this. He's not just going to give you or show you something. He wants a relationship with you. So He's just going to tell you, I'll just tell you enough for the next step.
That's
enough
right.
for the next step. So you can keep relying on me. And
So
then
true.
ultimately God wants all the glory. So in order for Him to get all the glory, so that's when He has to do the impossible that you had no control over.
Right.
So I
No,
think
it's so
that's
true.
very
We
true.
just opened Karen Kingsbury Productions last fall, and we filmed Someone Like You, another one of my books. It'll be a theatrical film this fall. Tyler directed it. That was one of the scariest things that I've ever done, and you probably feel the same, but we funded it. So it was like people said, no, don't fund a movie. And like, we just felt like God was calling us to do it, and it literally felt like, it still feels in some ways, like we're running toward the Red Sea, and He is parting it one step at a time, just like you said. Like sometimes our toes get wet, but He does open the next piece of dry land, and we just keep running toward His calling.
Tyler, so I'm guessing, did you have this kind of idea of where you wanted to go because of your background, and you present it to your mom? Yeah, tell us about how
Yeah,
this
I
started.
mean, I've always loved, creating and writing, and I think certainly getting to see her write as I was growing up was an inspiration for me. I've done acting and music and all. I just love the creative world, and I think I love how it can spark conversation, it can inspire people, and it ultimately is something that, Lord willing, can outlive us even. Someone could watch 1,000 Tomorrows, after we're gone and be inspired by the things that we wrote and what God gave us. So I always prayed that I could be in a creative atmosphere. And that's another example of just trusting God. Like we started working together after I finished college, and I never thought that that's how my career would start. But it was exactly what God wanted me to do, and I've learned so much and been so thankful with the fruit. I think if God calls you to it, He'll equip you with what you need, and you have to just offer up what you have and say, here, even if it's not much, it's like, this is what I have, what can you do with it? And if you surrender it to Him, I think He can multiply it, and it can be better than you ever thought it would be, and this is a perfect example of that.
Was there ever a time in your life where you said, okay, I'm going to start, like, after college, I'm going to do this, but then you started seeing that the Lord was sending you back to start doing something different? Maybe it wasn't your intention, but then you're like, oh, I think this is where the Lord sent me back to work with your mom.
Yeah, I mean, I think we started collaborating on the Baxter Family Children series together, which was a series of books. And before that, I studied musical theater in college and directing in college. So I was going to maybe spend some time auditioning and doing, like, maybe going to New York or, working in theater. And I just prayed and just said, like, Lord, where do you want me to go? And I didn't have peace about leaving Nashville. And I heard Him say, just like, be still and know that I'm God and wait for me to tell you. And I got a job at Starbucks, and I was like just praying and trying to figure it out. And then the opportunity to work on the book series came up, and it was like it was a rerouting in a great way, where I was like, okay, this is a very clear door, and I pray for wisdom and I pray for opportunity, and He makes it clear where we're supposed to go. We just have to be willing to be still enough to listen.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, very hard, yeah.
Oh, thank you guys so much, and I know we got to wrap it up because y'all got to get ready for tonight.
Yeah, it's
Right.
going to be
It's so
great.
fun.
I heard that tonight you guys are premiering the last episode of the series. Can you give us any spoilers without giving away anything?
I can say have your tissues ready for sure. And this is a celebration because it's #1 now. The show is #1 on the streaming service PureFlix. They have a special, I think it's like 99 cents for the first month. So everyone can now binge it. Like, it's ready to be binged. So this is a huge celebration for us.
Yeah. I think all I can say is, saddle up, because it's an emotional episode.
It's very emotional.
I mean, you didn't throw that joke in there because of the reference to.
No, not at all, not at all.
All right, last thing. So we know family is important, and for you guys to be doing this together as a family, that's amazing. How much support and like cheering on do you get from your husband and your siblings, even though you've been doing this, you guys, for so many years?
So much support. Like, I got a call from my husband earlier. He said, praying for you. Wish I was there. Like, it's just, I'm so happy for you. And then your youngest brother, our youngest son, he texted as well, and he said, I'm praying for you, and I'm with you in heart. So yeah, we get a lot of support.
Yeah, we have a great family
the whole
group chat,
family.
and our family
Yeah.
group chat is just full of like, congrats, we're praying, sending pictures, it's really celebratory.
Oh, I love it. The family group chat. I think we all have one, right?
So great, yeah.